Dude, you get up here. I'm too nervous. Get up here. I was like, where is she? Hopefully that's not
Yeah,
recording.
let me see. Let's see what
So
else
this is
we
all I
got
wrote down,
over
like, just, there's our purpose, thanks for coming, blah, blah, blah. Richard wants to...
Got that. Do we want to?
Yeah, I think we just say, if you would be willing. Hi, friend. Look at us up here. We are so important.
Yeah,
Of course.
front row. So let's say DSD board meeting.
Yeah, how do we, like, phrase it? Just say, if you'd be willing as a taxpayer to come.
Maybe just like have them come and see us after,
Yeah,
so
see
we
us.
get their emails or something.
Yes, yes, so be willing to make comments. That would be
And
great.
it would just be like, we tell them what to say pretty much. We say that.
Yeah, we will tell you exactly what to say.
If you want me to make the announcement about signature gathering, I would, or you can do it yourself.
Yeah, no, I would totally love you too.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Peter. Okay, we should get started. Okay, I think we will. Can you hear me? I think we'll go ahead and get started. Jenna, do you want to do this? You come do it if you want to.
No, I don't want to do it.
Okay, let's see. Yes, I will. Okay, thanks, Emmy. That's okay. You can go wherever you want. We will go ahead and get started. And we will begin with a prayer and then the pledge. And Jeanette's going to offer the prayer for us. And then Jason Hackett will lead us in the pledge.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, as we come before Thee at this time, this evening, we're so thankful, Father in heaven, that we have this freedom, that we can do this and meet and be able to talk about important things that we need to be aware of. We're thankful for this freedom that we have and that we enjoy, and we pray that we'll continue to enjoy it. And we pray for our legislatures, and we pray that good bills will continue to be made, and we pray for all of us here who are taking time to learn, and please help us with discernment, and that we'll be able to know what is truth. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Oh, there we go. Okay, good. All right, you guys. Brian, is that okay? Can you hear me? Okay. All right, thank you all for being here. Thank you to the candidates who are here. I will just sort of introduce us and do a little bit of housekeeping. Tina couldn't make it tonight, so Jen and I are hosting for her, and we're on the board of Davis County Conservatives. Our purpose as the DCC is to restore conservative leadership, educate and engage Davis County voters, recruit and elect constitutional conservative candidates. So thank you to all who came tonight. We look forward to hearing from you. So what we do is we hold forums every second and fourth Thursday of the month, and it's always here, and it's always at 6:30. And the ones we have coming up, we haven't reached out to invite the candidates yet because it's just still on our agenda. But we're hoping on March 12th to have a sheriff and county commissioner debate. And then March 26th will be the House and Senate debates. And then on April 9th, the county clerk debate. So if you, Tammy. Yes, you bet. So March 12th, that's the sheriff and county commissioner. If they'll come, we haven't invited them yet. March 26th, the House and Senate debates. And then April 9th would be the county clerk. Yes, so we will send out invites to that. All right, and we also have one of our fundraisers coming up, and we are grateful for any donations anyone can give tonight, is a March 7th movie, and I'm actually going to have Richard come up and speak to that.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. It's always great to see concerned citizens get together and to make a positive change in our communities, and very grateful that you're here. Please make it a habit and come back. I want to talk about donations really quick before I talk about the movie, and let you know that I don't know if we're going to have the can go around tonight, but those donations really help the DCC, the Davis County Conservatives. We are not paid for what we do. We try to, serve the community as best that we can. There are some expenses. We have websites to pay for and maintain, and just office goods. It's pretty low key, but we thank you very much for your support when you can donate. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about tonight a little bit with this fundraiser that's coming out. It's this movie, which probably a lot of you have already seen, which is called Standout. It's about the life of Ben Kerr, who's a native Davis County resident. Great man. I've met him. He's a wonderful person. But this is going to be next Thursday at next Thursday on the brain. Next Saturday, it's the 7th of March. Yeah, I'm sorry, not this Saturday. I'm a little nervous. Haven't done this for a while. But we'd invite all of you to come. Please invite your family members, your friends, and I promise you it's going to be a great event. Now, we plan to have Ben Kerr there, and that's what we were advertising, that Ben was going to be there. I got a notice last night that he could not make it, and it was very disappointing. However, there's a couple of silver linings that came out of that, and that is that the producer and director of the movie, who many of you know, T.C. Christensen, is going to fill in for Ben. So he knows exactly what this is all about because he's done it. I've seen him talk many times. He's a wonderful man, and it should be very good. That's one of the silver linings. But if you're not familiar with T.C. Christensen, some of the movies that he's been involved with are like Love Kennedy, The Other Side of Heaven 2, The Fighting Preacher, Escape from Germany, Raising the Bar, Cokeville Miracle, and 17 Miracles. You get the idea. He's really well known in Davis County, and the reason that Ben couldn't make it, and this is very interesting, he got a call from some contacts out of LA that asked him to come out to LA and do a couple of red carpet premieres because they're putting him on the path for an Oscar nomination. That movie has actually got 100 rating from Rotten Tomatoes, which, film critics never give 100, ever. So that's really, really cool. He felt horrible about telling us he couldn't make it, but TC, he sent me a text last night. He says, I'll be the second best substitute you could possibly have. So please come and hear TC, watch the movie, and be lifted up. The other silver lining that we have is that we're still working with Ben. He's going to come and speak to us at one of these meetings. We don't have the date yet, but we're going to hear from him. And so we're very grateful for him for doing that. Again, donations are important. It's listed as $15 per seat. We recognize that that can be a little bit steep because you could go and see it somewhere else, but you're helping the DCC. But with that in mind, we understand that times can be very difficult. So if $15 is not something that you can do or don't want to do, we'll take 10, okay? And now I'm going to have all the people that have already paid the 15 are going to come back for a rebate. But we'd ask you that if you can afford it, help the DCC, because the DCC does a very important work. So thank you for all that you do in our community, for the conservative support that you give and the overwatch that you do up at the state capitol with the legislature. We appreciate everything that's being done. And it's a group event. You know, this is something that we all got to do together. It's not just any one organization. We come together and we can be a powerful voice. So thank you again for being here today. I'm just going to, pass these around. These are, again, just the fundraiser information. We prefer Venmo if you can do it. If you don't do that, we still take cash. Cash still works. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. And yes, you guys, really, thank you for coming. Thank you for bringing a friend, your family, whoever you brought. It is important that you're here, and sorry about my voice. I'm still trying to get it back. So here's what we'll do tonight. On our community forum flyer, we have a certain list of the candidates. And so I think we'll just follow this order. And what we'll do is we'll just sort of go office by office, I think. And each candidate, you're welcome to take up to 5 minutes and just talk about 2 bills that you support that are going through session. If you don't want to take all of your 5 minutes, that's okay too. And so we will just start with the commissioner candidates. So I'll tell you the order. So if you'll please remember what order this is. So we'll start with John Adams, and then we'll have Austin Gray, and then Kendallin Harris, and then Susan Lee, and then Brandon Stanger. And after they're done, then I'll get up and announce, and we'll just kind of go like that. Does that sound okay? Oh, yes, and we actually have one more announcement from Peter.
I'll make it quick. Davis County Conservatives appreciate representative government, representative republicanism, and therefore it is our policy that we do not approve of signature gathering. Some of our candidates tonight are gathering signatures. We're happy to have you here, but please respect our policy and don't gather signatures here tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peter. All right, and then Peter has also agreed to be our timer. So he will get his timer ready, and he'll kind of let you know, when you're down to 1 minute or something. Okay, that sounds good. All right, so John Adams, you're first.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I'll maybe pull this out. I don't know how you got down there, Peter, and take it. And I guess I want to take just a quick second. And does anybody at the Lincoln Day dinner, by raise of hands? Yes. Susan Lee put on such an incredible Lincoln Day dinner, and I feel like we should give her a giant round of applause. It was so cool. I actually am, I'll pop the balloon. I am one of those that's gathering signatures. I was endorsed by a gentleman that also ran and gathered signatures, and he also endorsed me, and he told me, when I gathered signatures, I'm a military man, and I wouldn't go into war with just one gun. I'd come in with 2. And for me, that was a really nice analogy, because for me, it's also been always about suspenders. I wouldn't wear one suspender and not the other. But I want you all to know how important it is to me to win convention. For me, that is critical, and I'm putting in a lot of effort and a lot of money to get people to come to caucus and participate in caucus and participate in the convention process, because that is paramount to me and our Republican Party. And so I hope you know that that I'm honestly putting up in as much effort, time and money into that as I am with the signatures. There's a couple bills that I've been watching. One that I believe died, hopefully died. It's circled. It was a bill that was brought forth by Representative Ward. Bill 184, I believe. Yeah, 184. I just had to check my notes and make sure. Oh, you're raising your hand. Oh, thank you so much. House bill. So Representative Ward, House Bill 184. This bill is really critical to me because I've been serving on Kaysville City Council for the last 7 years. And one of the things that I've seen is the state is trying to eke their way into taking away the city's rights to zone within their cities. And the way they're doing that is they're trying to make it seem like the cities aren't helping with the housing crisis. They call it a crisis so that it sounds scary, right? And then what happens is they try and say to the cities, you guys don't know what you're doing, so we're going to take the power away from you. And in my opinion, this bill did that very thing. It was essentially allowing anybody who had a plot of land to be able to subdivide it and build multiple houses without ever getting permission from the city. And now they said, like, well, you would have to get permission, but essentially you'd have to just make them aware. And I'm so glad that we have representatives that are in the House and in the Senate that said this is a bad bill. And I'm glad, you know, Tammy Tran, who's running for Senate, who you're going to hear from in a minute, I'm so glad that she's running, because she's one that's going to get up there and actually represent us as a city or as a county and keep those things from happening. So that was a really important bill for me. There's also one that I'm following on the Senate that's represented by a Senate bill, and it's Senate Bill 266. And I don't know if any of you have followed this bill, but it's really important for county commissioners, especially. And so where I'm running for county commission, it's one that I'm watching closely. It hasn't quite made it through committee, and so it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But this is a really fascinating bill. What it has to do with is taking power away from, one more minute, okay, I'm going to talk a little fast. It's about taking power away from the city managers or the county managers and those represent, and giving it more towards the people who have been elected. And I think this is a really fascinating bill that all of you should take a look at, because you elect the people to make those decisions. You don't hire the city managers or the county managers that are in there. And so it's very important that they be the ones that make the decisions, not those who they've hired, right? And so for me to see if that bill makes it through is going to be a really interesting thing, and I'll probably go down and speak to it if it does. I only have probably 30 more seconds, so I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I've been attending these meetings. I've been attending the county commission meetings, and for me to see the people that are here, the smiling faces, is why I'm doing what I'm doing and why I'm running. John Adams, thank you so much. What's that?
I'm just going to say one thing. Thank you. And John, so John started out the way that I should have. If you guys wouldn't mind, thank you for letting us know if you're convention only or if you're convention and signature path. That would be great. Thanks, John. Okay, so I think we have Austin. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I'm Austin Gray. I am running convention only. I am a strong believer in the caucus and convention system, so I would appreciate your support in caucus, running as a delegate and serving at convention. So with my job, I'm a paramedic, and I've been stationed up at the Capitol to provide medical. So it's been kind of cool being able to walk around the Capitol and kind of be in the midst of what's going on up there. There's a lot of bills that are going that are good and some that are bad. Two bills that I've kind of been watching while I've been up there are House Bill 449 and House Bill 479. So House Bill 449 was introduced in February 2nd by Representative Auxier, and it was sent to the Rules Committee, and it hasn't made it out of that, which is really unfortunate. And I think as Davis County residents, we need to make sure that we send messages to our representatives so they can get brought back into the body. What this bill does is it's aimed at restoring oversight of government spending. It's called the Utah Taxpayer Oversight of Government Spending Amendments. What it does is it allows us to have balanced budgets in our government, and it requires that we have voter approval before any tax increases. And I think this is an important aspect as running for county commissioner to make sure that we have trust in the funds that we have. Another thing is if there is government overspending, that it goes back to the people. So whatever is collected in this bill is supposed to be refunded, whether it's through property tax reductions. Anyways, it has not made it out, and I feel like that's a good thing that creates more transparency in our government, and it protects us as hardworking citizens. So please, I urge you to message those people that are able to make the rules. So House Bill 479, this one is this wonderful one here. It's called Election Code Modifications. It was brought up by Jefferson Burton. They're on the second sub. It was in committee yesterday, and I know a few people have spoken to it that are members of the DCC, which is a really great bill, and it did pass out of committee, and it's on the House third reading calendar. I just checked right now. They're in session from 6 p.m. until as needed, so it may be heard today and maybe tomorrow. But anyways, it is currently number 50 on the third reading calendar. It was 53 when I drove here, so it's moved up. Anyways, this is a great bill, and it is on elections. And one of our foundations of our republic is trust, and we need to trust that our elections are fair and secure. And what this does is strengthens the trust of our elections. This solidifies our voting system and showing voter ID. And I think this is a very important of make sure that we don't have people that are illegals. We don't have people that, have passed away voting. We need to make sure that we have IDs in place. We use IDs for almost everything in our daily lives. We need to make sure that we are voting and we're having our proper representative government. So I'm really excited for this bill, and hopefully that it has a lot of support currently, and obviously it's on the third reading calendar, and then we'll have to work on the Senate side. So those are kind of the two bills that I'm watching right now, and there's a lot more that are great, and I hope that we are able to help and be able to, as citizens of our county and of our state, to make sure that we do have representative government. So that's something we need to do is, reach out to our, elected officials and make sure that they're making the choices that we want as a community. And so just again, my name is Austin Gray, running for Davis County Commissioner Seat A, and I'm convention only, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Kendall Lynn Harris. I'm running for county commissioner as well, and I am gathering signatures in addition to going to the convention. I do love the caucus convention system. I have never missed a caucus since I was 18, and now I'm 50, so that's a lot of caucus attending that I've done, and I've been a delegate. I've been actually a caucus education ambassador. I believe in the caucus system, but in addition to working to try to earn the support of the delegates, I will also be, I'm also knocking doors, trying to earn the support of people gathering signatures of 3,200 Republicans in Davis County. So I served as the mayor in Bountiful and just finished my term, and then I was on the city council 8 years prior as well. And so during my time in Bountiful, I have been able to really have a front row seat at some of the things going on at Davis County and see some things that I thought could be improved. And so that's why I'm running. Thank you so much for the Davis County Conservatives for holding this event tonight and for caring about our system of government. And the two bills I'd like to talk about are House Bill 236. It's Representative Karen Peterson. And she is talking about truth in taxation amendments. And so one thing that was kind of frustrating, I'm sure that some of you were involved when last year Davis County raised property taxes, and there were a lot of people that I saw that came out, and I was there as well, that came to that truth in taxation hearing. And I think that I could tell that it was frustrating for the people that were there to voice their opinions, because they were there to voice their opinions and to weigh in, but it was basically the first opportunity that they'd had to do so, and then it was also the same night that the Davis County Commission voted for the tax increase. And so I like how this bill changes the timing so that earlier in the season, there is an opportunity to hear from residents, to have, to be able to listen to what the residents want, what the residents think, what people, whatever the input is, so that it's not at the very end of the process. And so it just moves up the timeline. There's more transparency. Earlier in the process, people will know what the proposed tax increase is, and then they'll also be able to weigh in at that time. And then there will be a budget that is proposed that is what would happen if we did not have the increase, and then what would happen if we did have the increase. And so it'll be more clear what the tax increase is actually for as well. And so I really like these changes. I think it will really help the process. It will allow residents to be able to speak to what is happening and to be able to have more transparency earlier in the process and to have better education. And then it will also help the elected officials. I've been on the other side of things as the mayor and on the city council in Bountiful, where we're hearing from residents. It will be nice for the elected officials to be able to hear earlier from residents in the process as well. So I think it's a great bill, HB 236. The other one that I wanted to just touch on tonight is HB 215. And this is an interesting one. It's legislation that allows property owners where they maybe live in a higher wildfire risk area to be able to clear their own vegetation. And so even if local landscaping rules would not allow them to do so, it allows them the opportunity. And to me, I just think that is very important for people to have the rights of their own property to be able to do things that make sense, right? And so even though I'm a local government person and I understand that we have zoning and that we have landscaping rules and things like that, at the end of the day, private property rights should make it's obvious to me that we need to allow people to do what makes sense with their own property, and especially with something like safety and fire mitigation. So those are two bills that I think are interesting and that I'm excited about. And just letting you know that I'd love to hear from you. If anyone has any questions, I'd love to talk to you. My name's Kendall-Lynn Harris, running for Davis County Commissioner. Thanks.
First, thank you all for coming tonight. So excited to see so much support for this event, and I would have loved to see it filled up, but I know it's a busy time of year, and so thank you for those that did make the time. I'm Susan Lee, and I am running for Davis County Commissioner Seat B, and I am going only convention. So the only way I'm going to get on the ballot is if the delegates elect me as their representative for the Republican Party on the primary ballot. And so the reason I love that path is because it never lets me forget who the boss is, you. And that's who I will be representing and listening to. So one of the bills that really touches me is actually, it's House Bill 88, which is Representative Trevor Lee's bill. And right now, what it does is it says that it started out that any any taxes cannot be used for illegal immigrants. So no taxes used for illegal immigrants. Now, the reason this really is close to home for me is because my grandpa immigrated from Norway. And when he came to Utah, he came through Ellis Island legally, rode a train for 4 days. In fact, after 2 days, he said, "How much longer till we get to Utah?" And they said 2 more days, and he about fell over. He didn't realize that America was so big. But when he got to Utah, he was greeted by a family that was hosting him. And they took him in, and they took care of him to make sure that he could stand on his own 2 feet before he went out and started doing things on his own. There was no public assistance, and what that did is it made it so that he got fair wages for when he went out, because he was competing with everybody else. And also it allowed him, he married, had 8 kids, had his own home, had a big farm, very successful in what he did. And so I look at that as that's the example we want to see when we have immigrants come here to Utah. They're the ones that are going to be the people that work hard and try and become Utahns and not put a drain on the system. There's also many other reasons, like when you, let's see, so it also will help with the housing crisis, as far as if you're not attracting people here illegally and helping pay for their housing, it's going to free up that low-income housing more for those who need it, that are here legally. And also maybe for our children that are looking for homes they can afford to get into. Areas where they've had illegal immigrants move back to their countries and leave, the price of rent has dropped because it's opened up so much more housing for those that need it. And so you would see a lot more benefits. The downside right now is for him to get this bill passed, he had to take out quite a bit. He had to soften it, which is really sad, because I would think it would be a priority for all of us to want to have this happen legally, to have immigration legally in our state. And so that was a little bit frustrating to hear that. The other bill that I was looking at, and it was already touched on, is House Bill 479. Since it was already talked about, I'll go into my next one, which is House Bill 399. And what that is, it's a bill that removes SEL, or social emotional learning, from the schools. Right now, when you have a child go to the schools spend a lot of time and energy into surveying your child. And these surveys are used and stick with your child through all of school. And so, you know, the way I thought and the way I was when I was in 5th grade versus 12th grade changed dramatically. And I don't think it's fair that they attach these to survey them, and they are stuck with what they get from this throughout all their school, and they say even after school it sticks with them. So I like that bill because it was to remove that, but it's stuck in committee. So we need to have all of you try and reach out and try and get that out of committee. And anyway, but I appreciate the opportunity to run. I look forward to representing you. I know that taxes are high and spending is out of control in Davis County. And as a commissioner, I will fight hard to reel that in and bring fiscal responsibility back to the county. Thank you. Brandon.
Okay, Brandon Stinger. Am I saying that right? All right. Sorry, say that? Oh. Okay, no problem. All right, thank you, Commissioner candidates. I'm so sorry, my voice. Okay, I think that we will combine. It looks like we have one Davis County Clerk, Jonna, there you go. Hey, so we'll have Jonna, and then we'll have the sheriff candidates next. So we'll do Jonna Whitesides for Davis County Clerk, and then John Atkins for Davis County Sheriff, Andy Obled hopefully I said that right, for Davis County Sheriff, and then Zach Van Emmerich for Davis County Sheriff, and we'll go to there.
Appreciate it. All right. Well, I love being here. It's starting to become like my second shelter place during the week, right before we get to Fridays, because if you haven't been out to these meetings, they're great. Usually hold them about twice a month. They're on Thursdays, so you've gotten through your, really tough part of the week, and then you can go into Friday just being edified from being here with this group. So I want to thank them for hosting it. I'm John Whitesides. I'm running for Davis County Clerk. I live out in Syracuse, very long roots in Davis County. One of the reasons I'm running for Davis County Clerk is because I really think that as citizens of this great country, of this great county, is that we should make sure that we have trust in our elections and everything, the processes and everything that goes into it. So with that being said, the two of the bills that I want to touch on briefly today is, Austin had kind of already talked about that a little bit, but I kind of want to take it from a different perspective on House Bill 209, to where it requires proof of citizenship to vote. So I am a naturalized citizen. So when I talk about my roots being 5 generations, I'm adopted. So I was born in Mexico, and at some point I had to become naturalized. And I don't see that as a burden for myself to have to provide that I am a U.S. citizen. One of the great things that Utah has done has been forward-thinking and becoming compliant with the Real ID Act. So when you think about it, your driver license, your state ID, kind of already meet those requirements for proving citizenship. And then me, myself, if I have to provide, my passport, I have to provide my naturalization certificate, I'm happy to do that because I want to vote. And so I kind of want to push back against some of the other comments on that opposition who have been saying, well, it creates a burden, it does this, it does that. But when you kind of look at a lot of the other countries on the way that they administer elections, let's take a few of them who are maybe developing nations. So if we look at India and Brazil, those two both require biometric verification. So we're talking fingerprints in the system, photo ID, date of birth, name, photo, all those things. And so we're just basically, as Utah, saying, hey, we're going to just kind of even the playing field in the sense of we're requiring a specific, we're making a standard, and we should live by that. If we also look at some of the other countries that are, I guess, more developed like us, so we look at Germany, Sweden, we look at Canada, those also require, again, a certain standard to be able to vote. In fact, in Canada, it says voters must prove their Canadian citizenship. And so, again, I really support this bill. I think it's going to be great. The other bill that I want to talk about is House Bill 529, and that just came out not too long ago, but that would bring back our Secretary of State so that we kind of deconflict what could be the appearance of misappropriation or the appearance of maybe a conflict of interest where the lieutenant governor is the chief election officer right now. If we had that Secretary of State, they would be the chief election officer, and it would be independent of maybe whatever initiatives the current governor has at that time. But the other thing it would do, I kind of look at our state auditor, Tina Cannon, and how she is independent. She's an elected statewide official. She's able to audit and do those things independently of whatever the legislature's thinking, whatever the governor's thinking. And so I feel like that would be a good step in our direction to, again, reestablish the trust of the processes and avoid any appearance of misdoing in our elections. So those are the two. Again, thank you for taking your time to be here. Thank you to the DCC for hosting us. And yeah, I guess I should mention, as I'm wrapping this up, I am going as convention only. Thanks, John. But again, I've years ago, once upon a time, when I could probably move a little bit quicker, and I didn't have a little bit of aching in my joints in my back, I was a county delegate over in Weber County. So really, really believe in the convention system. And again, thank you for your time.
Okay, so John Atkins. Is he here? John's not here. Okay, so how about Andy Oblid? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Jen, thank you. Yes. John Atkins, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. He is going to try to come. He had one other thing tonight, but he said that he would text me and let me know when he gets here, if he gets here. So we'll wait for that, but then he can go when he gets here.
Thank you. Hopefully John can make it. And my name's Andy Oblad. I'm running for sheriff. I will tell you right at the start that there's 4 of us running, and I would encourage you to get to know all of us. We're all a little bit different. And, oh, sorry, is that better? I could hear me, but you couldn't hear me. Sorry about that. There's 4 of us running. You'll hear from 2 of us tonight, and maybe 3, I don't know. Hopefully John can make it. I would love to hear from him too. And there's 4 of us running. We have varying levels of experience, and I would say please get to know all of us and compare us. Experience matters in the sheriff's race. It's a big office. There's 350 employees or more working there, civilians and sworn. It's a huge responsibility, and experience matters. I'm running as a dual path candidate. I'm excited about caucus and convention. I hope to do well in convention. I'm also gathering signatures, and I hope to be on the ballot. A little introduction about myself. I've worked in law enforcement for over 28 years. I started in 1996 in Salt Lake City, served there 21 years, rose through the ranks to be a lieutenant. After 21 years, I thought I would ride off into the sunset and work for the Larry Miller Group with the Utah Jazz. And I was their team security for about 2 seasons. I traveled around with the team and provided security to the coaches and especially the players. And it sounds like a pretty glamorous job, but it was not. It was a lot of travel. It was away from my family too much. And so after 2 seasons almost of that, I started applying for jobs where I didn't have to travel. Kelly Sparks had recently become the sheriff. He was elected in 2018 and started in January of 2019. And he appointed me to be a chief deputy over law enforcement. And I've been serving as his chief deputy for the last 7 years, serving in all 3 different bureaus of the sheriff's office, and that's law enforcement, administration, and now I'm over corrections for the past year. As I was looking at bills that I could share and bills that I've been trying to learn about, I tried to think of bills that had to do with how law enforcement, the bills that could help us be more effective and more efficient in our jobs. And I found a few that I would like to share. House Bill 113 is, it's called Emergency Reporting Abuse Amendments, 911 abuse. That's people that are calling 911 that shouldn't be calling 911. And we actually deal with that quite a bit. We have our own dispatch center, and we have a lot of people calling 911. Even after we've explained to them that what they're calling about is not an emergency, and they need to either use a non-emergency line or just stop calling, they continue to call. And so this bill, it's a House Bill 113. It's just amendments. It clarifies the penalties, and penalties can go from Class A all the way up to a felony. I listened to the meeting today where it's moving through, and they talked about it, and some people had concerns about if it was a felony that it's mandatory 4 days serving in jail. I'm not sure that I support that, but I do support enhancing the penalties for 911 abuse, just because it ties up our public safety dispatchers on calls that they don't need to be on, and it makes it difficult for them to send the police where they need to go in a timely manner. And we need to get to the emergencies as quick as we can. The other House bill I want to talk about is 137. It's called Violence Crime Clearance Rate Amendments. What I like about this bill is it creates a grant program to assist law enforcement agencies in solving violent crimes. They're allocating $250,000 to do that, and this will allow for new tech. This allows funds to increase clearance rates, training, upgrading, or replacing technology or equipment related to evidence collection, processing, or forensic testing. It'll allow agencies to develop policies or procedures and training to increase the agency's violence crime clearance rate. This is a good bill. We need help to be able to, handle those cold calls and improve our clearance rates for violent crimes. that's about all I have to say tonight. I'm happy to be here, happy to meet you all. I'll hang around, and I'm happy to answer questions afterwards. Thank you. Good luck.
All right, I'm Zach Van Emmerich. Can I just copy and paste what Andy said, and then I'll go sit down? No, I'm just kidding. Zach Van Emmerich. I'm running for Davis County Sheriff. So I have 19 years in law enforcement, and I will preface that with, I started out in Salt Lake County. I've spent my entire career out in Salt Lake County. That being said, I've grown up in Davis County, and I've spent the bulk of my life here. I'm going to walk around. I do this when I instruct. I like to interact with the whole crowd, so don't think it's weird that I do this. Normally what I do. So I started out with the state prison, so I started out in corrections. Then I moved to the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office when I transitioned to the Unified Police Department. There I grew up to be a lieutenant there, spent time on SWAT and the Metro Gang Unit. So I dealt with some of the worst people in Salt Lake County that they had to offer. So that experience and that skill set is what I like to bring to Davis County. In 2023, Unified Police Department had to separate from the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office. At that point, Sheriff Rivera hired me as a deputy chief over the Law Enforcement Bureau. So for the last 2.5 years, that's what I've been doing with Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office. I've been running the Law Enforcement Bureau, which is over investigations, patrol, and various other task force. So what I want to get to tonight is 2 bills that affect public safety. I want to start off with Senate Bill 262. This is being run by Senator Dan McKay, and it has to do with unmarked vehicles. What Senator McKay wants to do is unallow us as police officers to make traffic violation stops on traffic infractions. Now, for those of you who don't know, one of the highest mortality rate in Utah, the biggest cause of death in Utah is from traffic accidents. The highest cause of those traffic accidents is excessive speed. Now, if we in unmarked vehicles, which is about 1/3 of an organization, when you count detectives, special units, administration, you take out about 1/3 of the power of a police department that can actually make stops to prevent traffic accidents and enforce traffic. On a side note to that, on investigation side, you really hamper special investigative units that go after really bad guys, that develop drug cases, they develop gun cases. This bill overall is really bad for public safety. The senator brought it out because one of his constituents was pulled over by an unmarked vehicle. The constituent was very scared and didn't believe it was a real police officer. Turned out it was a police officer and it was a viable stop. So that's how this got started. At the end of the day, if any of you get pulled over by police, call 911. If you don't think it's a police officer, call 911. So the Legislative Law Enforcement Legislative Committee is going to work with him to try and make some amendments to it. It did pass committee, which we're kind of worried about. So we need to get up there. We need to get up there. Email your senators, your representatives. This is not a good bill. Let me go on to House Bill 44. This one is near and dear to my heart. One of my secondary assignments at the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office is the county school security chief. So I'm responsible for training all the armed people that are going to go into our schools going forward. This was started in HB 84 2 years ago. HB 44 is a continuation of that. So really quick, there's 3 different classifications of law enforcement officers in the state of Utah. You have LEO, which is the patrol, corrections, which does the jails, and you have what's called the special functions officer. They do our courts and they do our facilities protection for us in Salt Lake County. Now, those lower levels have different levels of training. That SFO still wears the same uniform, carries the same tools, and basically provides security to the courts and our facilities. Up to this point, their statute for special functions officer does not allow them to stop for something they see on the side of the road. So if you can imagine getting in a traffic accident and you see a marked patrol car drive by you, if that person happens to be a special functions officer, technically right now by law, they cannot stop to assist you. So I, with the sheriff's office, went and worked with the sponsor of House Bill 44 to include that verbiage in there, to change that so that we have the ability to do that. So really what that would do is open us up to go help people until police can arrive, like the actual patrol guys to come take the report. That being said, I want to thank the DCC for putting this together. I am doing the caucus convention route only, so wish me luck with the delegates. I'm out there working and put my face out on social media and word of mouth. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, County Clerk and our County Sheriff candidates. That was really interesting. Thank you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we will do now our House candidates. And so we will start with Dava Nil. I don't know if I see her. She's running for House District 12. And then after her, or if she's not here, we'll start with John Taylor, House District 14. And then we'll have Adam Sorensen, House District 17. And then we'll go from there. Let's see, I don't know if anybody, yeah, John.
Thank you to the DCC for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. My name is John Taylor, running for House District 14, and I'm a convention-only candidate. Before I talk about my bill, I just want to set it up, the premise of this bill. First of all, if you remember the news, a gentleman by the name of Avalos Gonzalez and Jimenez, they were arrested by ICE in West Valley City. And when they were arrested, Jimenez had re-entered the country 13 years ago illegally, which is a federal felony, so he will be sent back home. Avalos Gonzalez has been here for 27 years. He owns Viper Auto Care. He's raised 4 children. He has no criminal record and is generally a good person. And he will probably be staying in the country. But the question I have to ask you is why, after almost 3 decades, has he not worked to obtain citizenship in this country? When you have a driver's license, when you have Medicare and Medicaid, when you have all the benefits, there is no need, there is no drive or incentive to obtain citizenship. So I am supporting what Susan Lee talked about, House Bill 88, which is Trevor Lee. And Trevor asked me to come down and speak to it, which I did. And Fox News got a clip of me and took it out of context, which is fine. But I do believe this bill is a step in the right direction. It will help people finally get in line, as millions of others have before them, and to take benefit. Now, before you start accusing me like everybody has that you hate them and they're going to starve and all this stuff, I was a bishop. I disseminated funds to people who were in need, and sometimes that was abused, and there were times I had to cut people off after they would go on vacations to Vegas and buy puppies and do nails and all those things, and it was a hard thing. So I just don't believe in using your tax dollars as my charity. I think there is a lane for charity and there is a lane for taxes, and taxes have to be, we have to be good tax stewards. So I support Trevor Lee's bill. The other bill I want to talk about, I do not like. This is an interesting bill. And I'll set this up. I am a convention-only candidate, and my opponent is gathering signatures. I love her. She's amazing. She's awesome. But we disagree quite significantly in our politics. If I was to gather signatures, I would bypass the delegates and make you irrelevant because I would already be on the candidate. So by being convention only, she's got to work on the precincts and get people to vote against me because she will already be on the ballot. House Bill 460 by Representative Stoddard wants to change some of the way that we nominate candidates. And it's really strange language. So a couple of things in there. He wants you to designate if your party is going to be a convention-only party or a gathering signature party. If you're a gathering signature party, then you will be able to get your name and the Republican brand on the primary ballot, which is interesting because my party platform does not really agree with gathering signatures. And then if you are a convention-only candidate on the general ballot, you will not get to use the Republican brand name on the ballot. Does that make any sense at all to me? And even further, to take that even further, he is lowering the signature threshold by cutting it in half. So the incentive and the temptation is everybody loves that because it's a lot of work to gather signatures. And I'm not bashing anybody gathering signatures because by statute that is a strategic value and benefit that you can do, and that totally makes sense. But by lowering that threshold, you are moving people, you are undermining and diminishing the relevancy of the caucus convention system. and that's a problem. If you remember Governor Herbert Ma, he was a senator who had a horrible record, wanted to be governor. He moved us to a direct primary in 1941. It became super expensive, and voting turnout went down to 10%. And so after 9 years, we saw how horrible and expensive this was, and we went to the caucus convention system. The caucus convention system by the minority party is always going to be tried to be undermined and attacked and eroded. And so signature gathering crept in, and now this bill to lower those thresholds and incentivize everybody to sign that and just ignore the delegates, which I do not believe in. So it's interesting that we've got to be safeguards on some of these bills that are sneaking in, and we've got to be very careful what's going on. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having me here today. I'm Adam Sorensen. I'm representing, or trying to represent District 17. Two bills I want to talk about. They give you a little insight into me, probably ones you haven't heard of much. First one is HB 346. HB 346, it's dealing with the criminal code. The short version is it creates a broader scope of trusted persons in sexual abuse cases and adds essentially from a charge of sexual abuse to aggravated sexual abuse if you're in that trusted person role in that scope. And so it increases the scope of who falls in that. Reason I bring that up, I currently represent about 230 women who were abused by one trusted person, by one of those individuals who was in a place of trust and who abused that trust. And we're suing two institutions that helped it, that enabled it, that allowed it to happen because they were in this spot where they were choosing between, do I protect the company or do I protect the person? Bills like this are good steps. They're not enough. 2 years ago, I helped work on a bill that would have done away with the statute of limitations in civil lawsuits for sexual abuse. Luckily, Utah has done a great job on the criminal side. There's no longer a statute of limitations for sexual abuse on the criminal side. But there still is on the civil side for adults. It takes more than 10 years for people who have been abused to even get to a point where they can talk about it. Some a lot longer. Why in the world would there be no statute of limitations, no specific one, and have it fall under a 4-year statute of limitations? It takes people decades to get over this and to come and confront their abusers. And by the time they get there on the civil side, they can't do anything. And the civil side is important. The criminal side is where justice happens, but not all the time. Things get old, witnesses go away, and the civil side also offers accountability. So that's HB 346. It's a good step. We need more. We need to get rid of the statute of limitations for sexual abusers. They should never be safe, no matter how long it's been. Thank you. The second one I'll bring up, this one died almost immediately, so you probably don't even need to look it up. HJR 19, it's the idea behind it that I like. What it would do is it would limit the number of bills that representatives and senators could offer each year. Why is that important? That's important because last year I won a Supreme Court case, Utah Supreme Court, not Washington Supreme Court, won a Supreme Court case that one representative and an outside institution that we won't talk about didn't like. So immediately they came in to overturn it, undo what we just had several justices decide. Frankly, it's a very narrow issue that is pretty boring, but they didn't like it, and so they came in to change it, and the way they did that was by promoting it completely opposite of what we actually argued in the case and what the opinion had anything to do with. But we have so many bills going through that when we went up to the committee to talk about it and to say, hey, guys, the way this is marketed has nothing to do with what the actual opinion held. My law partner got up there, and he starts to talk, and the guys are just kind of talking and laughing. And he said, have you guys read the Supreme Court opinion that you're trying to fix? Half of them hadn't even read it. And the first thought was just angry, like, are you really kidding me right now? But honestly, I thought about it, and I thought about the number of bills that are going through. they don't have time to. They don't have time to read the briefing where we said, hey, we're not talking about this the way they were marketing it. It needs to be limited because it increases the quality of the bills, but also the time to research the bills that are happening and make an informed decision. We may not be able to read thousands of pages of something, but if there's less bills, we can read 10 pages of a Supreme Court opinion and know what we're talking about. So yeah, my name is Adam Sorensen. I am doing convention and signature like the other candidates in House 17 race, but I really appreciate your time here. Some of my favorite memories of all time are in a Baptist church. They have some of the best lunches. I grew up singing with them, hitting the fish fries afterwards, so love being here. Thank you guys.
All right, thank you to those candidates. Okay, so we will go now. We will do our Senate district and then Senate district, and then we will have our state school board member who is here, and John Atkins is almost here, so when he gets here, we'll squeeze him in. So we will start with Jennifer Garner. Does someone else want to go first? You can go, Jennifer. Oh, okay. So Jennifer Garner, then we'll do Braden Hess, and then Stephanie Hollist couldn't make it, and then Tammy Tran, and then Leon Wood and John whenever he gets here.
Thanks. Thank you so much for being here. I super appreciate you coming. So I'm a mom of 3 boys, so I'm a survivor. I'm also an educator. I help students in higher ed get to graduation without taking on student loan debts through accessing scholarships and private donations so that they are not straddled with the strains of debt, which also means that I have to set a good example and drive around a crappy car. So when you see my crappy car, it is intentional. It is so that my students don't see me and think, well, she's a hypocrite. So I'm really trying to be intentional in the things that I do. So I'm also on the State Central Committee with some of the amazing people here, which we have passed probably 3 or 4 times an anti-SB 54 resolution. Every time it comes up, we vote for it. And every time it comes up, there's a few that are leveraged to vote against it because it is the Incumbent Protection Act. And it has protected people that are overrepresenting developers in office. So we have subsidized the social aspect of housing. There's grant programs, and we're paying for the infrastructure towards those things with our taxes. And then housing has just become more expensive because we are socializing the investment. And so part of SB 54 as well is every election cycle, someone gets charged with forgery for collecting signatures and signing someone else's name, and then someone gets charged. This last time there was one candidate that had 11 signature gatherers get charged with felony forgery, and kids were called home from their missions because they were not trained accurately on how to collect signatures and follow the law. So I think it causes problems. And one of the first things I'll do is, when elected to the Senate, is I will repeal SB 54. So now I got to talk faster. Okay, so there's a couple of bills that I'm really concerned about, and it all comes down to water. If we're going to look at each other and be angry about whatever's going on, we are all going to come down to needing water, every last one of us. Water is life. And because of the United Nations Agenda 2030 and sustainable water, there has been legislation that has come down from that into our bills that control water outside of Utah. We're the second driest state, but yet we have 40 data centers. And each of these data centers use water to cool their servers. And these servers, from the research that I'm doing, the water gets evaporated and leaves all of the the toxins from all of that water, and then we're left with a sludge of toxins that shouldn't be put back into our water system. They're putting it back into our water system. And so it's using millions of gallons of water per day to cool servers. And on these servers is information, your data. So every time you make a Facebook post, every time you send a text, every time you hop onto Google and hit yes for terms and conditions, you're agreeing that Google can access what IP addresses you've hit, how long you've spent on those IP addresses, how many things you've ordered from China, how many rated R movies you watch. Like, I don't know, anyway. Oh, 1 minute. Sorry, I gotta talk faster. So all of these things are stored in data centers, and we are subsidizing our own demise because the governor has given tax incentives to these data centers that use our water, and it has got to stop. So 255 is actually, SB 255, or 225, sorry, is another bill that says, hey, the data centers can use whatever water that they want because it's part of the Inland Port District, or the Inland Port Authority, which is a form of government that is unconstitutional. They've created a form of government that can appoint their own bills and their own taxes. It's absolutely unconstitutional. And then the other one is ran by Jill Coford, and she is saying, hey, it's HB 76, and she is asking for the data centers to provide information on how much water they're actually using, and then that information will be anonymized. So, I know, give me a second. So, you were asked, as users of secondary water, you were asked to put a meter on your water, your secondary water, before the legislature even asked the data centers how much water they were using. This is wrong, and it's got to stop. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Braden Hess. I'm running for Senate District 7. I am a convention-only candidate. I firmly believe in the caucus convention system. Thanks, John. So a few bills that I really have thought a lot about. One of them is HB 160. I firmly oppose this bill. It died very quickly, which is great. But basically, it raised the number of signatures that are necessary for a ballot initiative for the legislature path. There's two ways of doing a ballot initiative. There's one that goes straight to the voters, and there's one that goes to the legislature. This legislator is trying to change the one that goes to the legislature, raising it from 4% of signatures needed to 8%. Basically, he's a Democrat trying to stop Republicans from using the legislative path. But I bring this up because I want everyone to know that I am a firm believer in our constitutional republic. We are a representative government, and frankly, our citizens have no business of making direct laws. They shouldn't be making statute. That's our legislator's job. Thank you. I also support HB 88. I think that's a fantastic bill. And I don't want to go too far into it because a lot of it has already been said, but it's not our legislators' job to be charitable with our money. It's our money, and I do believe morally we should be caring and giving to those in need, but that's our choice, not the government's job to take it from us forcefully and give it to someone else. Not their job at all. I also support SB 69, which is the school device revisions. It removes the distraction of devices from our students when they're in school during school hours. I think that's fantastic. We've got a lot of technology being introduced, our children are being introduced to technology in lots of different ways. We don't need more of it in our schools, distracting them from the important work of being educated. Okay, and one of my last bills that I'd like to talk about is HB 392. It's district court amendments. It was passed, it's actually been signed by the governor, so it's a done deal. But what it does is it actually creates a constitutional court panel for district courts when the attorney general, the governor, or the legislature thinks, or they Any of those three, when they say this actually hits the Constitution and you're deciding whether this statute is constitutional or not, instead of it being one district court judge that decides the matter, they get 3 random district court judges to decide the matter. This is really because of the Prop 4 issue we had going on with Judge Gibson. She really took advantage of all the power that she had, and she's still delaying on making the decision. So having 3 judges make the decision together, I think would prevent a lot of the corruption that was happening, a lot of the power that she used. So I'm in favor of that. And ultimately, I am 100% behind the repeal of Prop 4. We need to make sure that we actually follow the Constitution and that the legislature is in control of redistricting. So those are the bills that I wanted to discuss. And my name is Braden Hess, running for Senate District 7. I appreciate your help. Convention-only candidate. Thank you. Is it Tammy?
Okay, everybody, thanks for being here. My name is Tammy Tran. I'm currently the mayor in Kaysville, and I agree with the laws that limit the state's ability to change our zoning and our housing. So those have already been talked about, so I'm going to talk about a couple other things. One of the reasons that I'm running for the state Senate is because I've seen a lot of great bills come through the House that have died in the Senate, and I think that it will be a breath of fresh air, perhaps to have even deeper conversations on the Senate side. I know I can't do anything by myself, but I have really good relationships, and I'll work hard to try to convince some of my fellow senators that some of these bills are really worthy and they need to pass, because I know they get held up. One of the bills that I really support is H-Bill 471, and it's social services, and it talks about Medicaid and SNAP. The reason that I really support this is because like almost 30 years ago, my husband and I sponsored his 7 family members from Vietnam. So I was 20 years old at the time, my husband was 25, and we had 7 family members living with us. But in order to get them here, we had to waive all public assistance. So they were not eligible for any financial aid from the government of any kind. And we took on that financial responsibility as young kids. We worked 2 or 3 jobs, we got up early, took them to their jobs. They are now citizens. And what Thomas Sowell talks about in his book is true. In 10 years, they became multimillionaires. They're very successful. They kept their heads down. They worked hard together. They would collectively save their money. And so this bill I support because it talks about more oversight and more requirements for Medicaid and SNAP. I think it's great to help people, isolated situations, but it's not a lifestyle. And there needs to be accountability. And if someone wants free money, they need to work for it. And so I'm very supportive of this. I think that this is something that it did pass the House, but I could see it getting held up in the Senate. And I would like to be a voice to be able to get some of these bills passed. The other thing that I really like, and I'll tell you why, is HB 200. It's actually Trevor's bill about human trafficking, transporting, and harboring amendments. In Kaysville, about 2 years ago, I found out that we have 2 massage parlors, and there were sex trafficking facilities. And we found this out because there were some investigations going on, and they looked sketchy, and I'd had friends tell me about going there. It took us 2 years to get these 2 sex trafficking massage parlors closed. And it was a very long, difficult process. And so this bill talks a lot about children in sex trafficking, but it also talks about sex trafficking for those that harbor and transport. And so I want to really make sure that we crack down on that, because that brings in an element of crime and drug use, and people are being taken advantage of. Their passports are being taken, and they don't really have a lot of choices in these situations. So that really is frustrating to me. The third bill I just want to touch on really fast is something that I'm also very in favor of, and this is H-Bill 291, which has been signed into law. It's foreign land ownership in Utah. And what it did is it really defined that if we even suspect that China or Russia or other countries that are enemies to the United States are buying land in Utah, we have the ability, we have the teeth and the muscle to be able to say no. So we can investigate those. Instead of us proving that they're a foreign entity, they have to prove that they're not a foreign entity. And so I really appreciate that bill, and I'm very supportive of it. The last thing I'll say is that There's a micro bill that was passed, a micro schools bill last year, and I love school choice. Totally in favor of the charter system, I love it. However, this bill allowed for interpretation that would say that a micro school with 100 kids could be in the middle of a cul-de-sac. Okay, so we had 2 schools, micro schools, come to us in Kaysville residents that said, hey, we want to buy this house at the end of this street, and we want to put 100 kids in it, and we'll rotate through, but that's 200 cars potentially going in and out of this little cul-de-sac. And we said, okay, we like the micro school bill idea. It's great. We want you to be able to do this, but not here in the middle of a neighborhood. And so we talked to Ariel DeFay, who's our rep, and I said, Ariel, I love the idea and the concept, and we actually were able to talk both of these business owners into going into a different area. And so that was great, but the bill allowed for them to be able to be in the middle of a neighborhood. And so Ariel's helped us work through that process. We have micro schools in Kaysville, which we love, but they're not appropriate everywhere. And so, what did you give me, a 0? Oh, 1, okay. Okay, so really the reason that I want to get involved is as a mayor and a city council member, I've worked with John for the last 7 years. It's been great. I've been able to see the overreach. You know, sometimes the state does good things, and a lot of times they think that they can fix all and don't really know the details or the implications of the decisions that they make. And I have seen the frustration between the House and the Senate, where good bills come through the House and they die in the Senate. So I really want to be a voice of advocacy to say, let's be reasonable and let's work together. I have great relationships throughout the state. I've worked on multiple boards. I had no idea all of these things would be included with the mayorship, but they've been great experience for me. And so I would like to take my experience and be able to represent you at the Senate level in the state. And so I would hope for your support. I'm running for Jerry Stevenson's seat. He's retiring, and that is the area that I'll represent. So it's West Kaysville, West Layton, Syracuse, Clinton, West Point. And I hope I'm not forgetting another city, but that's where I'm going to be. So I'd appreciate your support. And please get to know me. Thank you.
Well, thanks for sticking around for school board, because nobody knows what we do. My name's Leanne Wood. I am one of 15 members of the state school board. I'm currently the state school board. I am doing signatures, and I will tell you why. I have a son who works nights, and he said, Mom, I can't go to caucus, but I want to be able to vote for you. I will not pay for it because I think it's ridiculous to buy your way to the ballot. So I am trudging along one signature at a time, but I am a signature candidate. So my 2 bills are, one was already mentioned, SB 69, the school devices. I think it's great that last year we went from that the LEAs, or local education agencies, our school districts and charter schools had to have a policy. The default went to you couldn't use your phones during class, but you could use them during breaks and lunch. This time, we're saying, you know what, if you're not going to put a policy together, we're going bell to bell. You cannot have them in school. And I know there are some people who are concerned that that means that parents can't, kids are recording when they're learning things that they're not supposed to learn. But we've put a process in place. It's called right of conscience, which means kids can stand up when they get that feeling that what's being taught is wrong. They can get up and walk out. And that is completely legal. And our schools have to protect that. So we have that check, right? We can take the phones out. We can have more interaction. We can have more focus and more concentration. And still our kids can be protected at the same time. The other bills that, this is an off-the-wall one that most of you will never even consider, but as a state school board, we are the local school board for the schools for the deaf and blind. Last year we found out they had a $10 million mismanagement. We removed their financial director resigned, their superintendent resigned, and this bill is putting in all the checks and balances to make sure that that our taxpayer funds are properly managed. So those are my 2. The other one, Ariel DeFay, has a bill that's about technology. I think it's 273, but don't test me on that one. We have about 200 education bills that we're following right now. But this one is saying, let's get back to less technology. We're finding that our kids aren't learning as well on the devices. And so it's having the state board have a process in place that says, you've got to decide how educate that technology, if it's going to be used in the classroom, there's going to be a purpose for it. It's going to help with standards, or it's going to help with assessment, but it's not for games, it's not for fun, it's not for babysitting, it's being used for its appropriate place. We need technology, that's where we're going. Our kids need to have access to it, but it needs to be there purposely and intentionally, and that's the Ariel DeFay's bill. So, sorry, I talk really fast when I'm nervous, so I don't even know how much time I have. So anyway, thank you, that's Leanne Wood.
All right, thank you. So John Atkins is here, so we're going to let him come up and speak about 2 bills he likes or doesn't like. And then we just have a few other announcements that we'll say after this, so thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Good evening, friends. Good to see you again. Good to be with you. Apologies for being a little bit late. I had a prior engagement I had to get to, another cottage meeting, but great to be with you again as per usual. So, met most of you. If not, John Atkin, a longtime resident of Davis County, currently work at the Sheriff's Office, been there for a number of years, work internal affairs, current military intelligence officer, also current firefighter paramedic in North Davis Fire Department. So very much vested and interested in our communities and in the safety and progress of our individual lives. One of the bills I picked, I had to, I'm sorry, because I'm a cop, so I picked a cop bill, one of them. And I'm against it. It's a Senate Bill 262. And so what this one is specifically directed and targeted at unmarked law enforcement officer vehicles and what we can and can't use it for. This bill specifically says that, hey, we can't use it to stop regular cars committing traffic offenses at the infraction level. And what that is, so we have infractions, and we have misdemeanors, and we have felonies, right? Most things that we deal with always start on the infraction level, and they kind of go up. I have concerns with this because, for one, I drive an unmarked car, but there's a lot more to it. It also comes down to the definitions that are placed in this bill, one of which it defines an unmarked vehicle or law enforcement vehicle as not having a roof rack for lights. There's at least 8 agencies that I counted, probably more, that already violate this if it goes into effect in May. What that means for you is the taxpayer is, hey, if this goes into effect, we're going to have to spend a whole lot more money to put light bars on top of law enforcement vehicles. So it's going to hit your pocketbook. There are other reasons for it. Many agencies lease law enforcement vehicles, and so they try not to do damage. They try not to do extensive hardware additions to vehicles. So this is another reason why. Addition to that, my mind always goes to law enforcement and public interaction. And my concern, if this bill was to go into effect, if there's a vehicle that's saying, if you live, probably most of us live on a 25-mile-an-hour road. So essentially, after you hit 30 miles an hour, then we're going to start hitting the misdemeanor level. So if I'm driving down in my unmarked vehicle down your road, it's 25 miles an hour, someone blows past me going 50, I won't be able to stop them if I'm in my unmarked vehicle, which is not good, right? You want us to stop them. You want us to go into more. That's a concern that I have in addition to it. So I do not like that bill, and that is, again, Senate Bill 262. I have other reasons for not liking it, but financial and also just the reality of it, I don't think it's good. The next one, I know Ariel DeFay has definitely been mentioned quite a few times, and she has some excellent bills out there. I had the pleasure of meeting with her a couple months ago and sitting down and having a long conversation. But the other House bill I was looking at that she is representing is 276, and this was specifically for artificial intelligence. So one of my campaign focuses is law enforcement getting ready for artificial intelligence. A military intelligence officer, that is a huge concern that I have. Not just for fraud, but also for many other things. The great thing about this bill is it defines a lot of those aspects that haven't been defined yet pertaining to artificial intelligence. Additionally, it addresses counterfeit imagery for any individual that's alive, that's passed on. And I want you to imagine in your head a loved one that's passed on, and then a company or someone else using images from that loved one for advertisement or for defamation or anything like that, alive or dead. There's concerns that I have with that, as well as sexually explicit imagery of adults, of kids, of anyone within those realms. And that's what my mind goes to, that we need to be able to have stricter laws and things in place, because we're already starting to see that within the law enforcement, within our daily lives. I know that it's hard if we look at if we look through Instagram, if we look through social media, half the time we don't know what's real and what's fake. And I'm sure we're all preparing, as I am, for the next presidential election, because I'm sure that is going to be widespread, even worse than it is now. We started seeing that during the last election. And so I feel that for protecting the integrity of all of our personal lives, but as well as for the community and the governance, I think that this bill is an excellent bill. I won't take up the whole time, but grateful to be with you tonight. My pitch is, please challenge me, please question me, please get to know me. I believe I'm reasonable. I want to be reasonable. I want to be fiscally responsible. I want to represent you. I want to be able to protect our constitutional rights. I've gone through, met with all of the law enforcement chiefs in Davis County. I've met with all of the mayors in Davis County, all the city council meetings, all the state legislators, because I believe to be effective and efficient to represent you, I need to have the relationships with these individuals. So John Atkin, thank you. Susan just asked convention, so I'm a convention-only candidate. I'm not doing signatures for many different reasons, one of which I don't believe in it, two of which I don't have tens of thousands of dollars to be able to do it. So.
Okay, we just want to thank everyone for coming, all the candidates. Thank you so much for your time. We know it's very valuable. Yes, come on, Bruce.
So I heard something, and I want to make a clarification so people know about caucus and convention. If you can't attend caucus and convention, you can delegate your vote to someone else. So if any of you here are not able to attend, make sure that you delegate your vote to someone else.
Thank you. Okay, I again want to reiterate what Peter said, that Davis County Conservatives does not support signature gathering, but I think it would be very good if you want to know why somebody is gathering signatures, ask them directly, because there are many reasons why people decide to gather signatures. So go to that candidate directly and ask them. One other thing I wanted to mention is Becky Hope and I are very involved in the Davis School District and things that are happening there. And we had a meeting with a former employee a few days ago, and she shared some really concerning things with us that are happening in our school district. So we are trying to get people to come to the next school board meeting, which is on Tuesday at 6 p.m. And we're wanting to start holding the school district accountable. And the way we feel like the only way we can do that is to go to the school board meetings and to comment and to be on record and to ask the school board to, do you have a question? Yeah. Oh, okay. No, go ahead. Where is it? So it's at the, in Farmington at the school district offices, right. Mm-hmm. 45 East North Main Street or something. Okay. Yeah. And then what were the concerning things that you saw or heard about? Yeah. Yeah, well, it was a whole slew of things. I mean, corruption, the way they're spending our tax dollars. I mean, feeding the school board. I mean, catering to the school board and administrators before every school board meeting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was very concerning. And she has personal, personal thing. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah. 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 And she was she found some things that were going on and started investigating, and then they got rid of her. So anyway.
Yeah, she just told us some concerning things a lot with finances. And so we've been trying to rally parents to come. But I just had this thought, every taxpayer, if you pay taxes to the school board, you should be there. And we actually have quite a few Yes, yes. So everyone should be there, and we actually have questions ready to go. We are looking for bodies to come, and if you will be willing to read questions so that those questions are on the record, and so that the district has to answer these questions, because right now they're not answering them. And there's definitely, I feel like the district, and this does not mean teachers and principals. We have great teachers and principals. So when we speak about the district, we are talking about just the core at the top. It's very much run like a pure democracy, I would say, more like mob rule. In there, there's a few, and they're all kind of buddy-buddy, and they really do cover each other's backs, and at the expense of your kids. And the money that they are getting is not going to our kids. It's spent on all kinds of stuff, and they just raise your taxes. So just remember that. But we really do need people in seats. Did you have a question back there? So, yeah, it's next Tuesday at 6, and it is 45 East Main Street or something in Farmington, State Street. Yes. Yes, yes. So you have to show up a little bit early because they won't let you speak unless you show up and put your name down. And then they'll give you a whole whopping 2 minutes to say what you want to say. 10 maybe. But nobody shows up, you guys. Nobody comes to these meetings. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The money is not going to where it needs to be.
Mm-mm.
It's our students, our teachers, it's, like you said, programs that...
It's an administrative bureaucracy.
Yeah, and there's no, like, really accountability to, like, what are the programs you're doing? How does that ultimately help our kids?
Every time they raise taxes, they raise the salaries on the administrators, and the teachers don't see it.
Yeah. And the student population is
administrators are getting all sorts
Yeah.
of perks. They get travel perks and expense reimbursement.
Yeah.
And people that speak out, I think this person you met with was saying, people that try speaking out are retaliated against and fired
Or bullied out or pushed out. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you are willing to help us, just come find Becky or me, and we can get your phone numbers or emails. And like Becky said, we have a list of questions that we just want to have on record, that we are asking the school board to direct the superintendent to answer. And if they don't respond to us, then we're going to come back the next month, and we're just going to keep doing it because it is time to hold them accountable. Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yes. Okay, so Peter used to be on the school board.
I can't help myself.
Some insight.
I sat on the Davis School Board. I was elected there for 4 years. That was about, well, it was from 2011 to 2014. But during that time, I found out that when you're on the school board, you get to belong for free. They pay your dues to belong to the Utah School Board Association. So we go to meetings, learn how to be school board members. Seems pretty practical. And then once a year, there's the National School Board Association Convention. Well, of course, you got to go to that. So I went with them to, it was really painful to go to New Orleans and have our meetings down in the French Quarter. It was really tough, but what I discovered, we're there for 3 days. They paid all our hotel bills, flight bills, rental car, everything. We could have done everything on Zoom. There's nothing we did there except maybe the entertainment they provided us, which was pretty expensive. Oh, of course, yeah, you had to have plenty of those. A lot of expense. And after I came back from that, I said, that is it. I am never going to one of those things again. And they were stunned. So if you're just talking about simple waste, I don't know if you call that corruption, but just simple waste, when you go to the school board meeting, ask them, are you going to the National School Board Convention? And what cool place are they holding it in this year? And see if you can persuade them to stop wasting our money on that. You can hear all the speeches online. You can hear all the speeches through Zoom if you want. They could stream it, they can record it. You can listen to it in your school board meetings if you choose. But don't waste our money to send us to deluxe places.
Okay, so if you are wanting to help us, like we said, we just need bodies. We'll tell you what to say. And they have school board meetings every first Tuesday of the month, and then they have a workshop every third Tuesday of the month where they discuss things. But you can comment at the first Tuesday of the month. They take public comment. So come and find Becky or I, and we would love to just show up and start holding them accountable. So thank you for being here. And if you have questions for any of the candidates, feel free. If you candidates have time to just stay for a minute. Yeah.
I have a real quick question.
Okay.
House Bill 92, the electoral apportionment. Anybody have any idea on that one? It seems like a really bad idea to end up getting the electoral votes according to which district votes for one candidate. I'm not sure, but you look it up. I think it's a bad bill.
So since you've read it a little more, would you be okay to come up and just tell us what you know about it?
Yeah, if I read it correctly, I mean, it's terrible. Just trying to read 500 bills in the House and 300 in the Senate. But as I understand this bill, they want us to end up just like Nebraska or Maine, where whatever district votes for, let's say, the Salt Lake City now, this little tiny district, votes for candidate A for president, but the other 3 districts vote for candidate B. Candidate A will get 1 electoral vote, candidate B will get 3 electoral votes, instead of the way it's done now, where the majority, you get all 4 electoral votes. It's a winner take all. And that's the way most states are, but they want to change it here. And I think it's because they want to get that extra electoral vote. Yep, exactly. That's good.